to watch my words. You keep piggybacking on my words.
Yes. So we had so much of that ego, and but we still have to come home to the same house, right? And we still have to be in the same bed, right? And go to work again the next day, whether we like it or not. So what made you decide, and when did you decide to get along? Good morning, everyone. We're back to our weekly podcast. And today we have a very special guest, our very own, my partner in crime, my best friend, one of the very respected leaders in our community. I'm so super proud and excited to showcase him today. No other than my husband, my honey, Ramon De Leon. We call him Alan De Leon.
Hi everybody. Hi, babe.
Hi, babe. Well, you don't have a choice, right?
Nope.
You're dragged here today. And you have to be here.
Yes.
I know where you live. So you can't run away from me.
I should have stayed longer in Sydney today.
Welcome back. Just came back from Australia. Finally. Been gone for a week. Too long week. So let's get started, babe. Just for the sake of everybody to know you a little bit more. We're just going to leave some of the juicy stuff later, right? But let's talk about you first. You know how you got started. Your sisters were all in the medical field, and your brother, but not. Your dad was an engineer. Your mom was a teacher, right? Mama was a teacher, and Papa was an engineer. So no inkling of medical, and I'm sure majority of the time when in the Filipino culture, whoever the parents and whatever the parents do, the children tends to follow those footsteps. But you took biology, and then you took occupational therapy. Okay, or was there somebody who motivated you to take those courses?
Well, actually, the one who influenced, at least me, or exposed me to the medical field was more of my Uncle Noli De Leon, who was the brother of my dad.
Older brother.
Uncle Noli passed already, but he was the one. He was a radiologist.
He was the brother doctor who migrated to Australia,
Yes,
right?
Yes. His background is he's a radiologist. He was a radiologist and graduated from the University of the East, UERM. And at an early stage, Mama was exposed to the colleagues and the friends of Uncle Noli. So,
in the medical field.
In the medical field. So all the colleagues of Uncle Noli was introduced to Mama. We had cardiologists, we had orthopedic surgeons, different people. As I was growing up, it was always me and Mama together. So I got exposed to that. From there, and then I got interested in being in the medical field. So.
And you mentioned before you wanted to be a doctor.
Yes, I took BS Biology in UP, but our family at that time wasn't, we're not that affluent in terms financially. And one thing that my parents did was they always told us the only thing that we can give you is the best education. So Ching Arlene took dentistry in UP. Ching Alma took applied economics in De La Salle University. I was taking BS Bio in UP Manila. Andrea, who followed me, was studying in UP Diliman, also taking BS Biology, and was wanting to be a doctor also. And then Alex was a dentist from UE Dentistry, College of Dentistry. And then Mimei eventually became a nurse here in the US as an LVN. So we were all in the medical field except for one, Ching Alma. So I wanted to be a doctor. That was my dream. I wanted to specialize on being an orthopedic surgeon because there was Dr. Arihana was somebody I looked up to, who was a well-known and very, very, very good doctor in the Philippines. And he was the one I was looking up to. And he was an orthopedic surgeon. But of course, not all dreams come true. Like I said, it was going to be too much. I felt it was going to be too much for my parents to pay for two kids at least to go into med school. So I decided I was going to do something which is adjunct to being in the medical field also, which was occupational therapy. Because my goal that time was to go to the field, to go to the States. You know. It was a course or a profession that is usually for the States that you can really practice being a true OT, maximize the practice here in the US. So that's what happened. I became an OT, and when I graduated, I did my 2 years in the Philippines, worked in St. Luke's, and also worked simultaneously in Manila Doctors. So Monday, Wednesday, Fridays in St. Luke's, and Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays at Monday, Wednesday, Fridays at Manila Doctors, and Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays at St. Luke's. 6 days a week. I was
Workaholic.
pretty much.
So, why OT and not PT?
OT was a new course that time. People know so much about PT, but I think OT. I also had some friends in UP Manila who was taking OT. They were the one I was talking to. I got curious with OT because with OT it was more practical. You know, we had courses in metalworks. We had the subjects we were in building stuff. I was more on the practical side. I was looking things differently that time. So for me, it was a leap of faith. You know, it's a good question. Why not PT now? Why OT? All I can think of, maybe that's what the Lord led me to when I decided I was gonna take a different course.
And normally, our parents, as a Filipino, our parents will always have a say in what you're going to study. So what did they say about that?
Not much. You know, at that time, when I told Mama and Papa, they said, "Hey, it's you. You decide." Which is something I really appreciated with Mama and Papa. They don't dictate what you should take. They can make suggestions.
That's a different story for me.
But they will follow what your heart desires. But of course, they want you to take a course that will lead to a profession, which OT was. And at that time, there wasn't much of a demand in terms of people taking OT. Because for a change during that time, if you did not enroll on time, they actively call you to enroll rather than you having to worry about the deadline. So that's how limited
The students,
were in taking.
which is good.
Which was good during the time.
So anyway, we're going to talk more about that in a future podcast because I'll have you here several times. This is not going to be the first time. This is not going to be the last, right?
Okay.
With OT, right? So normally when we take a course, we're either wanting to, because we need to have a good life, right? It's going to lead us to a good job, right? And then that's going to secure a future, right? Very few maybe will be, some people will look at it like, okay, this is my vocation, right? This is something I really want to do to serve other people. And we have so many reasons, and everybody have different reasons, right? And I believe there's nothing really good and bad to it. It's a preference. And until you find your path along the way, right?
Exactly. Yes.
So were you even thinking, like, let's say, because you mentioned about the U.S., were you even thinking, what will be my next step? So when I graduate, what would be my next step? Yes, go to America. But if not America, what's the next step? Did you even consider that, or did you just go through the motion and get it over with?
See, the good thing with OT and PT, at least for OT, there's really a demand. In the hospital, in clinics, we have a few OTs. So there's always a demand. For one, during my time, there were only 2 schools. There was a school in UP, and then there's another school in Cavite, I want to say. So there was a demand. And there was always a competition among those 2 schools because whoever gets to work, I'm a graduate from UP, so if I work in a hospital,
You're always preferred to
I always prefer
being
somebody,
picked, right?
a graduate
More
from
than
UP.
anyone.
Yeah. And then also common practice over there is most of the time when you graduate, you leave right away because there is a demand for OTs, not just in the US, but in other countries. So, but with me, I decided, studying in UP, they call us as scholars of the Philippines. So our tuition was subsidized by the government. So I remember our dean that time, Mrs. Floro, was telling us, we, during our graduation rites, we were told that, you owe the country your education.
So you have to serve the country.
And she was pushing for us to serve. And I heard that. And I felt it. So I did my 2 years. I gave my 2 years. Like I said, I worked in St. Luke's and Manila Doctors. And after 2 years, towards the end, I was contacted by this hospital in Pensacola, Florida.
Did you apply to that hospital?
Actually, I didn't. Because what happened is once I graduated in UP, we studied right away for the boards. So I took the Philippine board, and then after a few months, I took the US board for OTs.
And that's probably how they got your information.
And that's how they got my information. So I'm sure they did their research. At that time, I was leaning towards being a hand therapist. I like working with the hands. Building splints, working on fine coordination, prehension, and all those things. Working on the hand. So that's how maybe they got hold of me. Because when this hospital called me, they were specifically looking for a hand therapist. So the interviewing process was done over the phone. And after a few months, they decided that they wanted to hire me and said, okay, let's go for it. So
that's your first
That's
move.
how I ended up. Yep, that's in 1991, July of 1991. That's when I flew. July 4th. I will never
4th of
forget
July.
that. 4th of July of 1991. I landed in LAX. Spent 2 weeks in California first because that's where my sister is. Ching Alma was already here. And Alex was already here, my brother. He was studying for the
Dental board.
Yeah. So spent my 2 weeks here because I had to get some paperwork done for employment before I flew to Pensacola.
And then you came back here. We'll talk about what made you transfer from Florida to California. But then let's fast forward. You came back to California. You went back to California, right? Left Florida. Worked in several nursing homes, hospitals, right? And to the point that you became a director of rehab. And then we're just going to fast forward a little bit and we're going to jump back and forth. And then, of course, we were married and we got married. And now we decided to, of course, to have this home health, like Venora Home Health. And then no choice also, right? Have to work together.
Yeah.
I need help. So that's kind of like how we started. I just want the audience to grab that a little bit because Alan's specialty, is hand therapy, and he's been wanting to. He has this heart of servanthood to be a doctor, even though you practice OT, but deep inside, you really love to treat patients, and you look at it in a different. It's more than just being a therapist, really. You look at the patients as a whole. And that's how we built our first home health, Venora Home Health, along neuromuscular, right? So our specialty, especially for our first home health, is neuromuscular, taking care of stroke patients, and then all the way now to multiple sclerosis, myasthenia gravis, right? And of course, ortho patients. We love all those kind of patients. And that's kind of how we build Venora, and then that's how we train the team, and that's how we build rehab team, right? So from the nursing team all the way collaborating and working side by side with rehab, helping patients from literally from bed to chair to wheelchair to walker to walking. So that's where our goal. from bed to chair to walker to walking.
Yes.
So, and that's what the partnership came in. That's where really what made us so super. We were having fun. We were excited because there's something now we could do. I was a director in a nursing home before, working also in med surge, and then we had each other's exposure in home health, and that made us fall in love with home health.
Everything
Right.
just collaborated. Yep.
Correct. It's everything just blend in. So we didn't really just got into home health because, yeah, we saw that of course there's a good revenue stream for that, but that was not really the one that got us started. We really want to truly do good patient care,
Yes.
and together, with the talents, the exposures that we have, it just made sense, right? And then as we were building that, we instantly at the very, very baby phase, the starting phase of Venura, we built Venura into really a very strong clinical, right? Taking care of our patients and making sure that we don't leave anyone behind, and making sure that we can truly get them all the way to being functional.
Yeah, because I know when we
All
were
the way to
talking,
independence.
when we were talking about setting up Banura, being in the business, and we were, like you said, we were both directors that time.
Was
At
that the one that drive you to at least? Because I know I've been asking you to help me now, come. It was a leap of faith also for you to leave a good job. You had a good job. You had a good. Had lots of responsibilities. The owner of that company trusted you so much and working side by side with you, but you had to say goodbye and then start this, and we don't really have any clue, and we don't even have any knowledge, or we don't even know if we're gonna make it, right? But you did. So what made you decide this? Just to help me, to help us, but what really made you decide and made you say, yes, let me do this, I will do this?
Well, in the first place, remember when we started Vanura, there was no income coming in. So of course, we
It's
were
free
already
care.
we were already married. So
You have to work for free.
I wanted to make sure that we can afford to pay for the house over our heads, and so that was not going to happen if we both,
In the
worked for
business right
Vanura
away.
immediately. So I had to stay and work and earn, right? And I know it came to a point where in Vanura started bringing in revenue, and maybe on my part it was a little bit selfish because I still was enjoying what I was doing. I enjoyed my team. My team was superb.
You had a great team.
I had a great team, a rehab team in Apple Valley.
You had a
Care
great
Center.
company.
And the company was great that I was working with.
You have a good boss.
But you know what? The sign came out because what happened was the company was bought out by a company in Texas.
Thank God.
And when they bought the company, the new owner came to us and spoke to us. I go with my gut feeling, and I did not have that connection when he spoke to the team, the group. So I said, no, it's not a good move. So
That's our cue.
that was my cue, and I know you've been pushing me to
Been praying for it.
move, and I guess your prayers were answered, and somehow God intervened. And I said, when I saw the new owner, I gave my 2 weeks notice.
That made the move easy, right?
A lot easier, yeah.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I didn't feel like leaving my team behind.
But in the end, we were able to get them on board
Get them on board.
in
'cause,
Venura and make sure that they were employed and they
Yeah.
have a job.
yeah, I didn't tell them
Right.
what I felt about the new owners because that was personal. I didn't want to influence them. So if they decide they wanted to leave, that was going to be their decision. So when I left, I think after a few months they felt the same thing.
Yeah.
So they left also, and that's when they actually joined us. The PTs and some OTs join their team. Uh, so I was happy about that. I felt really guilty and bad leaving them behind.
And that's really what really got us going also. Because first, patient care, there's a way now, a chance for us to showcase what we love to do. And then there's things that we can do better together all the way. And we were so ambitious. We were so ambitious in really making sure that our patients are going to get all the way to, to whatever goal that they want to.
It's really
to
all
be,
about the patient.
right? All the way to independence, if we could, right? Working with the doctor side by side, adapted highly skilled treatments in from chemotherapy now to IVIG. We started at an early phase, right? So that really made Vanura really special. And then now we started adding friends, colleagues that's so dear to us. That made us kept going because now we have to look after them, right? The responsibilities keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But let's look about inspiration a little bit. Because it's not easy, Our road, our journey together was not easy. We were newlywed. We had Alec. We just had a baby. Alec was a baby then, and then here we are. We have this business that we're trying to grow, right? That we didn't even know what to do.
We had Alec after a year. Yeah.
And we didn't know. But when you moved after Alec was born, right? So there's so many things on our plate together, right? It was good, it was ideal, but it was not easy. Nothing close to easy, right? It was a rough one.
It was.
And you said you were not getting paid, so it's you have to show up for free. You from directorship now, free work. Right? What were you thinking? What was I thinking? So, and there's even no guarantee when you're going to get your first check. So, it's freebie.
It was a leap of faith, But the good thing is we were all together, and that made it a little easier. So, was it crazy? Definitely.
We were both crazy. Like, what did I do? And it was really humbling because we didn't have any mentor. No one was guiding us. We had to put our things together from just kind of imagine what expected of us and put things together where there's really no support. There's no EMR, right? So we have to build our form, from our forms to our system to the policies from scratch. And that was so nerve-wracking. At the same time, we kind of like obligated to continue, right?
I think with us, the only thing that we had that time was our experience and our skill.
Our passion.
And our passion. Well, we knew what we needed to do. I mean, we were always clinicians first. That's how I looked at it. Our passion was there. And something I also want to add, and I keep telling some of my friends, even the people that I've trained and that I deal with. When you graduate and when you pass the board, you take that pledge. Remember, you gave that pledge. You make that pledge about being in the medical field, so that you put patients first, and your compassion is always going to be there. And I took that seriously, even up to now.
You're one of the few breed.
I would say that some people, they do things for a reason, like you were mentioning. For me, it was my passion of being a clinician. I wanted to help people. I wanted to help patients. And no matter what that is, either be a doctor and being as a doctor or as a therapist, to me it was all the same.
Yeah, I'm gonna relate that back to your presidency, right? To you being the president, it's a complete different role, but there are expectations and obligations to a title. And when you talk about your background, and we have not even talk about your life.
Oh, we'll be here for 3 days.
That's why you need to come here. I have to schedule you for the whole year, right? This 1 hour is not enough. Talk about you, because there's so many things to talk about you, and we'll just jump from one topic to another. But we'll bind and Paco will have a way of doing it, right?
Okay.
But we'll just kind of like blend it together.
Okay.
But as a president today, an OT in between, right? And then the passion that you had, the inspiration that you got from that friend of yours, friend of mama, and the people that you were surrounded with growing up, it prepared you to where you are today. And I always believe that, right? So to be a president is not enough that, have to be, you appointed yourself to be one. You were prepared to be one all along. And part of that was the values that were given to you, the values that you grew up with, and the values that you also adopted, the kind of person you want to be. And part of what you just said today is to help people. And even joining Venura without a guarantee of a check, of a salary, that was not easy. And that was a very discomforting decision. But you did it anyway. But because you first, that you believe that we're gonna get paid somehow, sometime. But at the same time, your passion of helping others, were so strong that this is a good avenue for you to do that, right? And I believe God was already working with you anyway, along that. Otherwise,
Oh, definitely.
you would have said no,
He was shaping me slowly.
I am doing fine. I'm good. I have a good check. Leave me alone, right? Let's jump into because I 24 years. We're going 25 years for Venura, and now we have several companies today, and working together is not the easiest. And then
it's a lot getting better. It's a lot easier now compared to when we started.
Oh,
definitely.
of course, yeah. We're both strong-minded. We have strong-minded. But the good thing about us is, our values were just aligned. But of course, we had a way of doing things, and we had to get along. We have to know each other, right? And I think I kind of posted it on Facebook at one point. Longevity really will help you craft who you are and get to know who you are. But there's so many pressures, right? So many pressures that we have to carry that majority of the people probably will never see or won't see, right? We have so many closed doors together. There were so many crying moments. There were so many moments when we don't even speak, we cannot even meet halfway, and we refuse to meet halfway, right? And so many doors that were closed, until we can come up with a better resolution. But what always make us, of course, throw away those egos and pride.
Well, that had to come first,
right?
In order to grow.
I believe because first, we decided to respect each other. We decided to respect our own profession. We decided to respect our own position.
And our differences.
Position at work and position at home, right? So there's hierarchy. You're my husband, okay? And then I'm your wife, okay? There's a submission there. And I have to learn to submit to you.
Oh, do?
That was hard. I'm going to tell you, that was years of practice and praying and molding. Because I have to submit. God said that the wife has to submit to the husband, right? And then husband has to submit the wife and to take care of the family as well. So that's that. And I bet that's one of the secret of what made us keep standing today. And we're growing today. Of course, there's ups and downs. It's not all perfect. It's not all bed of roses. But we just have that respect. And then, of course, our love for each other, right? Yes. And, of course, the people that's around us, we just love them like crazy. Majority of them, they don't even know how crazy we are loving them. But we love them so much, right? But our boys, are growing up. We have Alec, we have Aaron, 2 years later, 3 years later, Andre. So, and of course, we wanted to have 12 kids.
Well, we were blessed with 3, so.
But we have 3 wonderful, amazing boys, and you're an amazing dad.
Thank you.
How do you balance that? I know we talk, but there are maybe things that I don't know. Maybe you can also share, and maybe there's something that we can share to other people, because imagine husband, wife working 25 years in the business, and you still have to make sure that we attend to the boys. We don't neglect them at all, at any cost. right? How do you balance that?
Well, that's when I go back to Mama and Papa.
Mm-hmm.
Mama and Papa are also opposites. Think like us. Papa was the disciplinarian.
Mm-hmm.
Mama was the one that anything goes.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember growing up, I would always disagree with the way Papa would do things.
I wish I would have met Papa.
But
Well,
unfortunately,
I've met him, but I've not had a chance to
not that
really,
long, I know.
had a quality time with Papa.
But it's so funny, I tell Mama, me and Papa, sometimes we have different ideas.
Mhm.
We clash because I have my way of thinking and he has his own. But at the end of the day, as long as you know the intentions of the person, and if it's good, you take it. And he always tells me, Alan, you may not understand why I think this way, but you will eventually. And I always took that at heart. So I may disagree sometimes, but it's a seed that I put at the back of my head, that I keep tucking it in. Because eventually, I will understand why.
Mm-hmm.
Because growing up, you think you know everything.
Mm-hmm.
You think you understand everything. You think you've figured out everything, how life is. Not
Until you-
knowing that
Until you're on your own
we're
and,
just starting.
and thrown in the fire.
So like they said, to them, they're already coming back. Us, we're just on our way to where we're supposed to go. And
And what always a blessing to have parents guiding you.
it is. Even to this day, things that I may not have agreed with Papa, those are the things I did when our kids were growing up. Even how he disciplined me. Because like I said, you think we know everything.
Mhm.
So there's no need for us to be told to do this or give their opinion. So we always take it as if, I know that, Dad. I know that, Pops. But in
I know,
reality,
I
we
know.
don't. Right? It's so easy
Yeah.
to say that. But everything, the way I figured how I came out,
Mm.
I mean, I'm not a bad case, I think. So I came out pretty good. So, whatever system that Papa had worked. That's how I look at it. So with our kids growing up, I did the same thing, and maybe even a little bit more. And at least as of today, our kids have come out really well. They're very good kids, very respectful. They have their opinions, but they are very respectful in voicing out their opinions. I can never be prouder than what they've come up, and I can't wait for what they're going to be.
Yeah, because we're not those parents that had our kids early. We started late, right? And there's big gap with our boys, especially you and the boys. There's a big gap, and yet you connect with them. You may not understand everything.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But they're really super close to you. And that's one thing we don't want to compromise, right? You don't want to compromise family time. You don't want to compromise our time with them. And we had this agreement, just for us to share. We have this agreement that whenever or wherever we are, I know we have so many schedules. Our schedules are getting more hectic as
Yes.
the time, comes, as the time keeps going and with building our business. But we made a promise to the boys and to each other that if they call, no filter, they can call us anytime. They can contact us anytime. And if they call, we have to drop everything.
Up everything,
And you have to be with them.
of course.
Right?
Family
And
comes
they
first.
turn out the same. They turn out the same to each other, to the three of them. So when somebody needs something and when somebody calls, a brother call, other, Alec, Aaron, and Andre, they would also drop, what they need. If it's really urgent, they have to drop that and be with each other.
I think the most important thing, babies, we don't just teach. We don't just preach.
We do it.
We also do it.
Yeah.
So I think that's something to them that they can relate because they actually see us doing what we tell them or what we preach.
Yeah.
So
I think we started as a clinician and we're still are clinicians. But I think as we build and now as we become better with the positions that we're holding, I think we're just actually implementing the values that we have, the things that we love to do, loving other people, loving each other, respecting other people, respecting each other, and we just work hard around it and make sure that everyone's provided for. And we look at our team, there are times, of course, that we have to put our feet on the ground and, there are times when we're strict, there are times when we're lax to them, but at the end of the day, we look at them as our own children.
and again, it all boils down to your commitment, to your reason. What is your reason for doing things like that? It's no ego. We do things because we feel that is the right thing to do, and it just doesn't benefit one person. But we have to be fair.
Okay, so let's go back to ego and pride because we had so much of that, right?
I have to watch my words. You keep piggybacking on my words.
Yes. So we had so much of that ego, and but we still have to come home to the same house, right? And we still have to be in the same bed, right? And go to work again the next day, whether we like it or not. So what made you decide, and when did you decide to get along? Because it was not easy to get along. When did you decide to, let me look, probably me a different perspective, right? So when was that? When did it happen? What made you decide that we have to make this work? Or did someone help you? Did somebody inspire you? Did somebody guide you also?
I think fair for everybody who's listening, just to give a little background. Like I said, we're in a family of 6, and I'm the eldest in the boys. There's only 2 boys.
But you're a middle
Me
child?
and Alex. I'm the middle child, so I'm the third. But at the same time, at an early age, like I said, Papa worked as a civil engineer for the government, in the Philippines, and he was assigned in the province of Angeles City. So Monday to Friday, he's in Angeles. So, and it's just me, my mama, and my siblings now. We're in Manila. We lived in Manila at that time. So I grew up being, quote unquote, the eldest. It was always me and mama, doing things together.
You were commanded
So
to help mama.
At the early age, I was already exposed to that. And a little bit something about yourself, the same thing. And there's 3 of you, and you being the eldest, you were given that responsibility to look after the family. Right? That's the whole reason you were in the States. For me, that was not a reason to go to the States. But at the same time, being the eldest, you pretty much deciding, having a say in the family. And same thing with me. I had a say in making decisions for the family. That was our biggest clash, our biggest personality clash.
Who's gonna decide?
Because we both were strong-headed,
Who'll be the right person?
We believe in making decisions, although sometimes we have different perspectives.
And nobody wants to give in.
And nobody wanted to give in. So that was the biggest hurdle that we had to go over first.
Our own personal demons, right?
Yep. So, but that changed because, like you said, we got married when we were late in our lives. At least for me, I didn't even think I was going to get married. God gave me to you, gave you to me, and I have to do what I have to do. But of course, initially it wasn't the case. Because I was thinking, I was pushing for my decision because I felt that was the best for us. Not just for myself, but always for us. And that I want to make it clear. It was not all about me, but it was about us. Because I believe in relationships. And a relationship, and it takes 2 people. And there has to be, first, a commitment. And second, an agreement that we will work together to make things right. But I've been so exposed all throughout my life making decisions for others that I just assumed that I can do the same thing for us when we got married. But of course, I had to find a lot of times humbling ways that that's not the case. And it's like I said, I had to change within myself first, because I do not expect to change you. And I always believed in, if I want to change you, I need to change myself first. Like I said, it takes two people.
And
to
just
make
want to
things
add,
work.
it was not easy. People are gonna come in with different baggages. Nobody is gonna be
Oh
exempted
yeah, definitely.
at all. Nobody, right? So it's just a matter of accepting that. But even accepting that is not going to be easy.
Well, if you think you're perfect, that's the first mistake.
Yeah. But but at one point in our lives, at many points up to now, we really have to accept that we couldn't do it. We had to ask God to be the one to do
course.
it for us.
You have to intervene for us.
So we had to ask God to bless us and be with us. And I just want to share, because even though we wanted to make Venura work so bad, and we want our business to work so bad, but at the same time, we decided that we're not going to compromise each other. We're not going to compromise our family. We're not going to compromise our love for each other. We're not going to compromise our voice because we just want to make our business grow. No, that's not really the case. So we could leave our business.
Oh yeah.
And we can leave anything behind for the sake of our family.
Yes,
And that's
definitely.
what we agreed, to do. We were going to work hard and show up, but at the same time, if it's going to hurt any of us already, right?
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it at all. So, and at the end of the day, we just made a promise and then gave it to God to make God bless that. And of course, we have our share of ups and downs, hitting rock bottom, going up, hitting rock bottom and going up. Nothing is exempted from that.
Nothing was easy.
And nothing was easy. No one was there to really carry us or to carry each other at the same time, going through our own personal issues too. And I think that makes us grow today, because we had so many personal issues that we have to tackle. And we just keep finding solutions from there. And at the same time, finding love in the midst of those challenges, in the midst of those issues. And still make love come out as the winner, right?
Yes.
For everything that we do. And slowly allowing us to see God's purpose in our own personal life and work life at
Well,
the same
definitely,
time.
if God was not involved, it would have been hard for us. Like I said, the pressures, even just the differences in our personalities alone, and then the additional pressure of the responsibilities. The way we run our business is not the typical, I would say, not the typical way of running businesses, because we get involved with our staff, even with their lives,
Yeah.
with their families. So it's as we add more people into our organization, let's put more pressure in our shoulders.
And we kind of we take care of our team. We spoil our team, because not majority, but all the time, when we do something, for other people, we always look at it like, what if I'm that other person? I'm that person on the other side of the fence. What if I'm that person? What would I want to have? What would I want to see from my boss, right? Or from the ones managing the company? We always put ourselves in their shoes. So we do what we do when we believe that we're going to be that recipient, right?
I think one whole reason why we also decided to set up our own business is because between us, in our experiences working in corporations, in big companies, private corporations, we've seen the good,
The bad and the
bad,
ugly.
and the ugly. So, and we learn from that. There are things, when you work for somebody, there are things that you cannot do, because that's the culture of the company.
And the business that we have just gave us another a blessing that everybody can do it. Not everybody's given, I believe, that opportunity to, or probably people were scared to do it. but it's an avenue for us to change and to make it better, right?
We're trying to change things, but we start with ours 1st.
And that's really one of the reasons why. It's not actually the money that drove us.
No, not at
The
all.
one of the things that drove us is still, what else can I do to make it better? But there are times, when you're working for somebody and probably they have a different also journey, we couldn't do it. So we had to create. And people were saying, how come you have several businesses today? Because we keep creating, solutions and keep creating things that will make it better. Our end goal is just to make it better, right?
And opportunities for others.
So that's kind of like just like what we do, right? I know we're running out of time, but there's still so many things I want to ask. My list is, I just asked you the first question. I have 10 more. So I have to schedule another meeting with you. But your time is very precious, babe. Thank you so much for your time. Just quickly, being the president of the company is no joke. From managing, not even managing the people. People problem is already hard on its own. But the financial problem, that's one of the biggest pressure that we carry, that you carry day in, day out, right? To make sure that we produce. Because payroll is on the clock. We, no matter what, every 2 weeks we have to pay our team. Every month we have to pay every responsibilities that we have, right? So that's one. And then of course the pressure of compliance, because we're working with the government, make sure we don't get out of compliance from this community level, the state level, the federal level, right? So we have to make sure that we abide to all those, right? And even the community level alone and the state level alone is way too much, right? But what makes you keep waking up and excited going to work? And the president of the day, what makes you Alan De Leon, the president, go and like, this is me, I'm gonna do this. What is that? What is that fire in you?
There's always room for improvement. There's no such. My thinking is there's no such thing as a perfect company. So there's always going to be problems coming in, issues coming in, and whenever you have issues, for me that's opportunities to improve. That means whatever system you have in place is not perfect. There's still cracks in the system. And I believe there will always be cracks because what is acceptable now
It's obsolete tomorrow.
may not be applicable or you need to improve for tomorrow. So that's something that I always like. I like problem solving. And at the same time, we deal with people. And when you deal with people, nothing is definite. There's always going to be variations, going to be differences. So the biggest challenge is how you approach the problem and how you deal with it. And that could be talking to different people. You'll have different approaches.
Yeah.
And with me, I don't always have the answer. And you know that, babe.
But you keep showing up anyway.
And if I don't know the answer, but have an idea of what to do, but if I am not sure, there is that ounce of doubt. That's where I approach people. There's only a few people that I depend on in terms of getting their opinion.
And that's how most companies thrive. There's a few people that you always go to.
So there's a few people that I approach in business. There's a few people that I approach in terms if I have some personality conflict or there's some doubts in how about myself. And there's a few people that I talk to when it comes to business.
And that's something actually I really wanted to expound some more. And I want to make it another meeting.
Okay.
Because picking the right people, picking your friends around you, picking your team with you is very critical to the business growth, to the business, what you call that, lifespan, right? I'm not saying that there are bad people.
No, but people don't understand.
You need to have the right mix.
Because everybody has their own opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you have to protect yourself. Because whatever you hear is going to influence how you think.
Correct.
So you have to be picky. I don't want to sound, unfriendly or discriminating anybody.
But that's how it is.
That's how life is.
I just read this book and they said when you have to be discriminating. You have to pick who you want.
Of course.
You have to, just like getting married, you have to pick what you want. Just like dating somebody, you have to pick who you want. And this saying being in the right company, you need to know where you're going to be, right? You have to be discriminating.
And when you pick people or friends, you have to know them that well. Because you have to value, if you value people and they sense that, they will do the same.
And they have to
will
respect
reciprocate.
you as well. The one that will respect you, the one that will be loyal to you, the one that understands you.
At the same time, there are people who will be close to you because they have their own reasons. Either it be selfish or not.
Yeah.
That's where you determine.
We had several people advising us all throughout the years. You don't have to pick the most talented people, the brightest people, right? The people with the highest degree. You have to be with the people who have the same value as you are. The people that you can work with, right? The people who likes you and will wants to work with you, right? Because if not, then your company they're gonna be the bad apple, even though they may graduate from Harvard University or the most prestigious universities out there. Businesses just don't hire them just because they are so, but they have to have that values that the company is looking for.
Exactly.
So we're gonna close that today because that's not gonna end. Like you said, we're gonna be here for 3 days or a week. There's so many things to talk about, right?
Yeah, so much to share.
So much to share, so many wisdom. And we'll talk about our boys, we'll talk about who they are to us, and make what makes them really special as we prepare them to be the next leaders. We'll talk about that as well. And we're gonna showcase our love for each other.
Anytime.
Without filter. Or with filter.
I don't know about
Paco
that.
will filter it
With
for
filter.
us. But anyway, guys, I hope you pick up something today. There's so many things to talk about. So I just want you to understand a little bit, what, me and Alan, we have a special bond. And we are really, at the end of the day, we're enjoying what we do. We're enjoying each other. And what a privilege that we can even work together. We could have been somewhere elsewhere, right? And build our own career. But what a great, great privilege, honor, blessing that God gave us. That's why we're protecting it so much, because an avenue, a place that we can be together, we can do what we love to do, and we can still be great in our career path. At the same time, be with our boys as they grow up, right? There's so many wins. There's so many great things to talk about when it comes to the business. Challenges, yeah, check. Issues, check. Problems, check. There's so many things, you name it. But the blessings and the good things and the goodness of God
always outweighs the bad.
outweighs everything else. And that makes it really special. So until then, see you again next week. Good afternoon now. It's good afternoon. We're getting to noon time. But everybody, we'll see you again. Thank you so much for staying tuned. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
See? We didn't plan this.